During this year's COVID-19 pandemic, hospitals in Italy were so overwhelmed they had to turn people away. Hospitals in this country had fewer intensive care beds than Italy, fewer ventilators, and fewer doctors. And yet NHS hospitals didn't turn people away. Something of even greater concern has been taking place in NHS hospitals. These are the guidelines to an NHS care pathway that was devised in the late 1990s. Here it's entitled the Liverpool Care Pathway. It's also often referred to as the pathway to death. It encouraged doctors to end patients' lives prematurely, without their consent and without their knowledge. Patients are usually sedated with morphine and midazolam via the use of a syringe driver and are deprived of nutrition and fluids until they eventually die from starvation or dehydration. Involuntary euthanasia en masse. After it was reported that hospitals were being set targets of patients to put on end-of-life care and were receiving financial payouts for meeting those targets, and after an outcry from the families of victims, the Liverpool Care Pathway was supposed to have been phased out in 2014, but the practice continued, and this year involuntary euthanasia has been reintroduced as part of NHS England's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. This document is NHS England's directive to doctors from this year. It includes a dialogue which doctors are advised to give to patients and to families of patients to manipulate them into consenting to end-of-life care when it is against their wishes. And it informs doctors of new laws allowing them to end patients' lives even when it is against their wishes, and stipulating that any COVID-19 related death will not have an inquest. Every time COVID-19 is written on a death certificate, that death does not get investigated. What's more, this year, victims' families were often not permitted to visit hospitals during the final days of life, and so most of them still don't know that this is what happened. Let us make no mistake about it. This is now the most terrible tragedy in British history, and it's still going on every day in NHS hospitals. All three major political parties know about this, and all three have been complicit